So I want to start us off with a couple of verses from Psalm 139, verses 1, and then skipping way to verse 14. They're at the top of your program, and it says this: You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, and I know that full well. And so this is a psalm I was probably aware of earlier on in life, but it's become increasingly important as I've gone on in life. So I think initially, at least for me, my life kind of consisted of trying to conform, trying to fit in a little bit, trying to have skills that made me recognizable, that made other people proud of me, all these sorts of things. I think it's pretty general for most of us. But unexpectedly, in trying to find skills that made me recognizable and made others proud of me, what I discovered was that it was a bit of a double-edged sword, that even if I seemed to be good at something, I felt uncomfortable because I was good at it. So music was one of those areas where this was true for me quite often. I don't know exactly when it started, but 6th grade is a very poignant moment because we would all go and we would sit at desks normally for this kind of worship, or not worship, at school, this like teaching thing that they did. And the teacher had me come to the middle aisle and to the front and stand in front of everybody to demonstrate proper breathing, which doesn't impress anybody. Nobody likes the one who the teacher loves, right? So that wasn't that exciting of a moment. Then you kind of skip ahead to 8th grade, and I would go to choir, and then I would come to the band room. So I would often be singing as I came into the band room, whatever we had just been singing in choir. And the band teacher said, oh, we should really capitalize on that. Why don't we do Wind Beneath My Wings? And the band will back you up, and you can sing the solo, which apparently was never done before. And so other people were really excited about this idea too, and they wanted to sing too. And so they went to the teacher and they said, well, what if we got to do it? Like maybe even a duet or something. And the band director laughed and said, no way. And that was it. So this was like a one-time deal. I was going to do it. Nobody else was going to do it, which you would think would be exciting, but it's a little embarrassing. So all this has been going on. We skip ahead to 9th grade. There's these little vocal tests now in choir, and so the teacher gathers a few people around the piano, and my aim was to try not to stand out too much. And so I purposely lowered my effort, and so I tried not to sing too much when I did my part of the test, to which the teacher enthusiastically goes, "Good job, Christina." And the praise was immediately questioned by somebody else gathered around the piano who very loudly said, "She wasn't even opening her mouth." And the teacher just kind of looked up and then moved on. And so this was my truth, right? Even in trying to undersing, I couldn't fit in with the group. And that should have maybe been a positive, but it felt embarrassing because it seemed to make other people have negative feelings about me. And so then naturally you have like those kinds of things. And then there were other reasons for why I didn't feel like I fit. And some of them a little bit more negatives. Like my parents were divorced, not actually once, but twice from each other. And we lived in this community that felt like nobody else was divorced. So that was kind of challenging. My mom held some pretty strong religious beliefs that were quite different from other people's, which meant I couldn't go places on Friday nights. Friday nights were a huge time for school, whether they were pep rallies or football games or just hanging out. And I wasn't allowed to sleep at people's houses because of safety issue and all this stuff. So it was very tough to just bond with people. The only time I had was school time, and then maybe if they kind of liked my singing, right? And so all of those things combined, it felt hard to fit in sometimes. And if you would have talked with me then about life and gifting and being unique and being fearfully and wonderfully made, I don't know if I would have seen it. I don't know if I would have seen it that way because my lens was so focused on what the problems seemed to be. I'm not sure how much it would have registered that somehow life was beautiful the way that it was. And I'm bringing it up because today, as we go into our second week here in our Using Story to Make Sense of Life series, where we're using all these Stories by the River short films to help us look at life through this lens of experiences, as we look to see what sorts of insights do these stories have to offer us, we're going to be talking about some of this. So we're going to watch this film today called Playing with Ice. And while the struggles of those characters are not at all the same as the ones that I'm talking about, their struggles are very real. They have very present consequences. And we're going to have a chance to talk more about that afterwards